Hey guys, what's up? Today I have a very different video for you. It's not a pickups video, nor is it a top 10 or anything like that. I'm just here to talk about my favorite JRPG on every single console. Well, not every single one, just the consoles that I care about. And I am glad to say that I own almost all of them. Almost, with the exception of 2. Damn it. But anyway, most of these games, well, the reason I'm doing this video is because a lot of people have constantly asked me over the course of time what are my favorite RPGs of all time. Some people have requested for me to make a video about that, a top 10 best RPGs of all time. And I did one over 5 years ago. I came up with one. It was really hard to do when I did it. It's just a slideshow. You can watch it if you want to, but that was 5 years ago. And obviously some things have changed, some others have not. And today I realized that it's just really hard for me to do a top 10. And I just can't decide some games, you know. I just can't. So in the end, I said, okay, I can decide a top 10 of my favorite RPGs of all time, but I can certainly choose, or I certainly do know my favorite one, which is my favorite RPG on every console. That was easier to do. But I promise I'll make a top 10 of my favorite RPGs of all time one day. In the near future, I promise I'll commit to it. But for now, I just want to talk about my favorite JRPGs on every single system. I have them right here, most of them. And I'm not going to show any gameplay of anything or anything like that of these games, because these are games, most of them, I'll say almost every single one of them, I have talked about these games and shown them 10,000 times in this channel. You'll see for yourself once the list starts. So yeah, that's it. Well, let's go by consoles. I guess we should start with the NES, because, you know, I never really collected for PC consoles, I mean for computer systems back in the 80s. I was just a 5-year-old kid or even younger than that, so I want to start with the NES and forward, with the NES era and forward. So the NES is a console that I do own it, but I don't really care for RPGs on the NES. I think you guys know that already. I don't collect for the NES. I don't have a single game on the NES. I do want a couple of them. It would be nice to have some of the Dragon Warrior games, maybe the first Final Fantasy. But those are games that I never played when I was little. I played them when I was much older. I was an adult already, and I didn't exactly like them. I'm not a fan of NES RPGs at all. I understand there are some really good titles on that console, historically important most likely, but I'm not a fan of the NES library of RPGs. I grew up with platformers like Mario, or with shoot 'em ups, or with beat 'em ups, etc. And I would like to have some of those, but RPGs on the NES, I don't know, it's not for me, man. And I think it's the same case with the Master System. I mean, the Master System has like 5 JRPGs only. What? Phantasy Star, the first Ys game. What else? I don't care for the Master System. I never had it. I have never owned a Master System. I don't care. And I don't like the first Phantasy Star. Yeah, that's right. You're hearing that from me. I don't like the first Phantasy Star. Anyway, what's next? Super Nintendo and Genesis. Genesis, I do happen to own my favorite JRPG for that console. It's the only cartridge, but hey, it's something. And that is Phantasy Star 4. I've talked about this game 10 million times on this channel. You guys know this game. It's a classic. It's almost a masterpiece. Blah, blah, blah. It needs no introduction and no explanation. Phantasy Star 4, that is my favorite RPG on the Sega Genesis. On the Super Nintendo, damn, that's the one I don't have. I used to own that game. An almost mint condition cartridge of Super Mario RPG. That is my favorite JRPG on the Super Nintendo, along with Final Fantasy VI 3. But I play Final Fantasy VI on the PlayStation, and you get the idea. I mean, I prefer a little bit more Super Mario RPG. I don't have it. I used to have it. I sold it out of necessity when I made a trip to England a long time ago, almost over 2 years ago already. and I have been wanting to get it back, but I want a perfect condition copy, not necessarily complete in box, just the cartridge. A good condition copy, and all the copies I've seen are in bad condition or with some scratch here and there, and people want like $40 for them. Not paying $40 for a copy. I don't know. If you guys see a good condition copy for a decent price, let me know. I really want that game. It's my favorite Super Nintendo JRPG. Alright, let's move on. Nintendo 64. I don't give a shit about Nintendo 64. What else? The portable systems. Let's start with the portable system from Nintendo. Well, my Game Boy Advance. Game Boy, I don't have it. It's Final Fantasy Legend 2. You guys know that already. That is my favorite RPG on the Game Boy. And that was the very first RPG I've ever played in my life. And I don't have it. I've never seen it. I've seen some copies on some websites here and there, but in bad condition, or in a good condition but very overpriced. I still don't have the first RPG I've ever played in my life. Final Fantasy Legend 2, also known as Saga 2. That is my favorite on the Game Boy. Game Boy Color, I don't care about it. I never had one. I played some games on there, but I don't care about the Game Boy Color, sorry. The Game Boy Advance, however, is a system that I do care and I do collect for it. And these are my two favorite Game Boy Advance RPGs. The two Fire Emblem titles on the system, Sacred Stones and Blazing Sword. If I had to choose only one, it would be this. This is my absolute favorite Game Boy Advance RPG. Talked about these games 10,000 times as well. What's next? The Nintendo DS. Oh, the Virtual Boy? I don't care. There aren't any RPGs on the Virtual Boy actually. Anyway. Nintendo DS, it's another really obvious game. I have talked about this game like 10,000 times. That is Radiant Historia. That is my favorite Nintendo DS RPG. Trust me, I have played almost every single Nintendo DS RPG, and I can tell for sure this is my favorite. You guys know this game already. You know, it's one of the most heavily recommended games on this channel. And on the 3DS, well, you could say it's the same game. The port / remake, but I have only played like 3 hours of this game. I still need to play it a bit more so I can properly decide if it's my favorite on the system, but you know, it would be kind of cheap to have the same game. So if I can't pick Radiant Historia on the 3DS as my favorite JRPG, then it's definitely, no, it's not Shin Megami Tensei 4, although that is a really close one, but my true favorite game on the 3DS is Devil Survivor Overclocked. It also came out on the Nintendo DS. This is a port of the Nintendo DS version. That version, I love it as well, but it's brutally hard. It's a really unfair game, one of the hardest JRPGs I've ever played in my life. They fixed all of that in this version, and it adds a whole new chapter, a long chapter, 5-6 hours chapter, not just a DLC of half hour or one battle, no, whole new chapter. So this is the version that you want to play if you're looking to get into the Devil Survivor series. This is the game you want to own, and this could be my favorite JRPG on the system if I can't pick Radiant Historia, but let's say it's a tie. But just for the sake of this video, this is my favorite 3DS RPG. Okay, let's move on. Let's go back to consoles for TVs. Like I said, I don't care for the Nintendo 64, so what's next? The GameCube. Yeah, I'm a Fire Emblem fanboy, you guys know that already. And this is another game I've talked about 10,000 times on my channel, like pretty much all the games in this video. Yeah, it's one of the holy grails on the system. Currently a game that's no less than $100 and something. And I love this game. It's not only my favorite RPG on the GameCube, it's also my favorite Fire Emblem ever, of all time, of all the entire series. And of course, for the Wii, it had to be the sequel, Radiant Dawn. Sorry about the noises. I keep all of my games with plastic protections. Some of the plastics are in really bad condition, but hey, it's something. I am a collector, so I try to protect them as much as I can, and a plastic bag is always ideal. Anyway, Radiant Dawn, the sequel to Path of Radiance, that is my favorite JRPG on the system. Next is the Wii U. I don't really give a damn about the Wii U, but if I have to pick one, maybe Xenoblade Chronicles X. I mean, the Wii U barely has any JRPGs on a physical format. I don't care about the Wii U. And the Switch, I don't have a Switch yet, so I'm sorry. Well, let's move on to... Well, I didn't cover all the other Sega consoles. Sega Saturn, I don't care for it. All RPGs in that system are expensive as hell, and I never had a Saturn. I have never owned a Saturn, and I have never played a single Saturn RPG. That's right, I have never played a single Saturn RPG in my entire life. Never. So, I'm sorry. The Dreamcast, I don't care for the Dreamcast really. When it comes to RPGs, I don't care. If I had to pick one, it would be Grandia 2, definitely. But I played the PS2 version, I beat the PS2 version. I played the Dreamcast version, but I played the PS2 version, so I'm staying with that one, even though it's not a good port. But anyway, I don't really care for the Dreamcast or the other, I don't know, Game Gear, or anything Sega except for the Genesis, I don't really care about when it comes to RPGs. PlayStation then. PlayStation. Chrono Cross. My favorite RPG of all time. My favorite video game of all time in existence. I love Chrono Cross, but you guys know that already. PlayStation 2, it's Valkyrie Profile 2. Yeah, I bet you were expecting me to choose Suikoden 5, maybe. It's a really close one. I'd say Suikoden 5 or Grow Lancer Heritage of War are my other two favorites on the PS2. They're back here. But my number one has always been actually Valkyrie Profile 2. I love this game. I absolutely love this game. So it's my favorite, and yes, another game that I've talked 10,000 times about in this channel. PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3 is Nier. It's in a bag as well. Plastic bag. Yes, Nier is my favorite all-time RPG on the system. I know some people don't consider this as an RPG because it's an action RPG or a hack and slash game, but I do consider it as an RPG, a JRPG actually, action JRPG, and it's my favorite on the system. What do you want me to do? Nier needs no introduction, everybody knows it, and I've talked about this game 10,000 times on this channel. You see, I've talked about all of these games like a million times. PS4. Lastly, the PS4. On the PS4 I have two. I can't decide. And well, I have only played like 20 JRPGs on the system. I still need to play more. PlayStation 4 for me needs more time. I mean, I need more time to pick a real favorite after I played others. And games are still being released on the system. So it kind of makes sense, and at the same time it doesn't to have a favorite. But my favorite so far, it's a contest between these two, is 8 Lacrimosa of Dana and Tales of Berseria. However, the PS Vita barely has any exclusives, and I'm not such a big fan of any of the exclusive JRPGs for the Vita. So if I have to pick one on the Vita, it will be this. So let's just say this is my favorite RPG on the Vita, even though I don't have the Vita version, but I don't really care because I already have the definitive version, the best version of Is Lacrimosa of Dana. And let's just say my PS4, my favorite PS4 JRPG currently is Tales of Berseria. It's actually that one. Berseria. Okay, the Vita, well, Lacrimosa of Dana, that's my favorite one. And on the PSP, I guess it will be Grow Lancer 4, Heritage of Wayfarer of Time. Damn it, it's because Grow Lancer 5, Heritage of War is my favorite Grow Lancer of all time. You guys know that already, but on the PSP, it was really hard. The PSP was the hardest to choose from because I still nowadays can't decide. I mean, Spectral Souls is yet another favorite. Trails in the Sky, The Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, Ragnarok Tactics, Fate Extra, but I don't have those games. I only have Spectral Souls and Grow Lancer 4, Wayfarer of Time. And if I have to pick one between this and Spectral Souls, I'm definitely going with this. And if you watch my top 10 best PSP JRPGs, you will see this in number 1, so this is my favorite PSP JRPG. Okay, so we're done with Sega, Sony, and Nintendo. What's left? Xbox. I don't give two shits about the first Xbox. There's like 2 or 3 RPGs in there, and I don't really care for them, so yeah. Let's just pretend in JRPGs that console doesn't exist. The Xbox 360, well, Nier on the PS3 also came out on the Xbox 360, so I guess you could say Nier is also my favorite JRPG on the Xbox 360. That's kind of cheap. I strongly prefer the PS3 version, so I'm gonna pick Lost Odyssey instead. This is my absolute favorite Xbox 360 JRPG. This is the one I have beaten, and I have loved the heck out of it, and it's a pretty solid game. I strongly recommend this game. It's not that underrated. A lot of people are familiar with it. Just type Xbox 360 RPGs on Google and this is one of the first RPGs that pop up. Yeah, Lost Odyssey. That is my favorite Xbox 360 RPG. And the Xbox One, I don't have one, and so far, I know it's been like 5 years since it was released, I still don't give a shit about the Xbox One. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm done. That's it. Those are my favorite JRPGs on every single system that I care about. And I'm so sad that I don't have Super Mario RPG, or at least Final Fantasy Legend 2, but you know, you can't have everything. So that's it for this video, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it. Now all that is left is for you to share what are your favorite RPGs or your absolute favorite JRPG on every single system, or at least the ones you care about. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time.